Welcome to GoldBoys Live, presented by Pickett Sports. Sleeper picks, breaking down. Well, we got a whole day of baseball, but the news of the hour is flipped again for the number 2 pick. Scoot is now a huge favorite. Miller likely to go third, we think, to break it all down. Brian, Josh, boys, can you guys keep up with this, or what's going on here in terms of the draft?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's so funny that we could do a show, probably 6 shows today on the hour, and do 15-minute segments, and each show would be like, "What the hell just happened in between those 45 minutes?"
Right.
Everything depending on who you're listening
When did this
to.
change? Like, I'm obviously up later than you guys because I'm on the West Coast out here. So, like, 3
Half
hours
hour, half hour ago, I think
Okay.
Yeah.
Shams tweeted out.
Okay, literally 30 minutes ago while I was looking at MLB picks for the end of this show.
And
But yeah,
Caesars this morning, I saw that they had I saw a tweet that Brandon Miller was like to go to was as far as like minus 800 on Caesars or something like that. It was like it talk about a flip.
it's wild. Yeah, I mean, so because Shams tweeted something that conflicted with what Windhorse said last, we're just now on
Whoa,
Shams
do you mean?
or Woj rather, whatever W guy works for the ESPN.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
so that's it, right? That's just whatever they say. Like, when does this get to the point of, like, if we're talking about draft markets, especially in the NBA, where it's like you're not allowed to tweet about it? Like, when is it tampering?
yeah,
Especially, I
because
mean, the thing that makes it tricky, Shams works for a sports book.
He
Shams
works
works for
for
FanDuel.
Clutch.
So,
Yeah,
yeah. All
it,
right, I'll,
it,
I'll, I'll just phrase it that way. Are you guys buying this? Are you guys buying Scooter too?
I stayed away from it. I like full disclosure. Like,
You can't
everything
stay
to
away
do
from it.
with,
You have to add who's going number
if
2.
you're making me bet from,
No, no, forget. We'll forget the betting aspect. Just who goes 2. We'll forget the odds
imagine,
for a
yeah. Don't
second.
worry about betting. Just
I always said
imagine.
Scoot. I said Scoot from the jump. Like, what
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me is everybody looks at Scoot and their eyes go, but just wide open, and it's like looking at like the sexiest chick they've ever seen. And they talk about Brandon Miller, and it's like Brandon Miller's super hot, but he's not as hot as Scoot Miller. So I'm always like, I'm always gonna go with the guy that, like, everyone's like, yo, this guy makes me horny.
Yeah,
Basically, versus, oh, this guy's a really good player that would be number 1 in a
yeah,
shittier draft and number 2 in most drafts. And Brandon Miller,
yeah,
like, he had one really good season. Scoot's workouts showed that, like, when he gives a crap, like, he's just a better player. So I just always stuck with it. I never hit the bet because I was like, it just keeps going back and forth so much that I don't want to have any money riding on like a minus 120 bet that could be flipped because Woj tweets 12 words. Like, I don't want to have to deal with that. So I've just gone from like 4th and on with my bets. But if you're asking me who to take, like Scoot, and if anybody's going to trade up, once again, it's going to be Scoot that they're trading up for. So
yeah. I kind of agree with it there, where it becomes one. I think Will mentioned it. I want to say either this week or last week, where it comes down to a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, does Scoot really fit in with Charlotte, or does he really have a better fit?" Charlotte's not at a point where they have to start worrying about fits. They don't really have to. Like, they don't have a roster that's missing one guy. I mean, you're not in the draft lottery as much as you are if you're one player away. So I think it's just you got to take the guy that is a more versatile player and kind of just go from there, because it's not about fitting a guy with LaMelo. It's about getting the best player available at 2.
yeah,
So we agree it's going to be Scoot here.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure. I mean,
There's got to be something more than the Shams. I mean, the Shams to go from minus 800 to minus 450. My guess is information. It reminds me a little bit of, if you remember, there was this sort of Willie or won't, like with the number 2 pick in the NFL draft, whether it was Willie Anderson was the favorite, and then Stroud just rocketed. Usually when these late moves, and again, we still have 6 hours, so this could flip
Yeah.
7 hours.
right.
My guess is that this is the correct move here in that Scoot, which sets up an interesting thing at 3 because I'm adamant on this. I do not think you can keep Dame Lillard and draft the player and have a 33-year-old Dame and a 20-year-old Miller and try to have your cake and eat it too and say, hey, we're going to rebuild and we're going to compete, because you're going to do neither. You're not a contender with that team, and you're not set up to rebuild. Lillard's contract's going to get old or whatever. It's going to get stale. I think you have to trade Dame or you have to trade the pick, Mike. I don't know what they're going to do. I guess the betting aspect of this, is there any value? Is it worth taking a shot that Miller could slide here? If he's not going to go 2, is it possible, one of the Thompson twins goes 3 and Miller goes all the way to 4?
I don't think the momentum has gone that far in the way of Amin Thompson, really. Like, Amin is the better prospect there between the twins. Oscar's gotten a lot of momentum as well, but I don't think it's shifted them up into tier 2. Like, it's clearly tier 1 Wemby, tier 2 guys, and I think Brandon Miller is clearly in tier 2, which means that the top 3 picks should be locked up. the Blazers said they shut down trade talks, right? We were talking about that yesterday.
I don't think the
last night.
Blazers said that. Woj said that, but Woj also said Miller was going number 2. So we got to start to question Woj a little. Woj's word, I don't know if he can be gospel anymore, because last year he had Jabari Smith going 1, he had Miller going 2. I mean, you got to Woj. Look, sometimes Woj has an angle here. He puts out what wants to be put out, and sometimes it's you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Who knows what the motive is here? That's all I'll say about that in terms of like you never know.
Yeah, no, interesting take. I'm not going to disagree with that. I don't know that Shams automatically catapults as like the most reliable source because of what we were talking about with Clutch and working for FanDuel and all the rest. So there are certain areas where he has something to gain as well. But as far as all this, like if you have to rely on strictly on like scuttlebutt to decide how
Good
you want
word.
to pick one of the top 3 picks, thank you. Like I don't need that in my life. Like I know that Amin Thompson makes sense as the 4th overall pick, so I'm doing that kind of thing and then going from there. But for I just don't think that anybody would pass on Brandon Miller. If anything, you trade into 3, you trade out of 3 if you're Portland for a star, and that's for Brandon Miller specifically, or you take Brandon Miller. And then you trade Dame. So
I think you're making I don't want to say it's a mistake, but I think you're falling into the trap that a lot of people make when you talk about the draft. You're injecting your opinion into it or your perception of other people's opinions. We have no idea. We have no idea who they would trade the pick to. We have no idea who that team would. Let's just say they trade it to, I don't know, pick a team, the Pelicans, the Raptors. We have no idea. How do we know what the Raptors think? Maybe we think the Raptors have Amen Thompson ahead of Wembanyama. I mean, we have no idea. We have no idea. We're just reading mock drafts. We have no idea how these teams view these teams. That's why you get surprised in the draft, because you could like this player, I could like this player, but it's especially now if it's not Portland making the pick, I think it throws a whole nother avenue into. Remember, we were talking the other day what Miller's odds were to go 4, and it was 15. Was it 22-1? Yeah. And I didn't grab it. I think he said now before the show it's 5-1.
Yeah,
it's not enough for me. It's not enough for me. I think obviously the most likely thing is Miller goes 3 now. The odds certainly suggest that, but I wouldn't like. Would you be shocked now if Miller doesn't go 3rd?
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think I still think I would be shocked. Yeah,
I would be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked.
I agree.
That's
I
good.
agree. Go ahead, Brian.
I was gonna say that's a good way to differentiate it, because I do think if the 3's locked up, then you probably get Thompson going at 4. But I like how you said surprised, not shocked, because honestly, when it comes to the NBA draft more than any other draft, I feel like that's the more, because NFL you can kind of like
this year was wonky though. This year was crazy. Who had Will Anderson at 3rd back to back with Stroud? We really don't know. I think there's just a lot of uncertainty here. I don't know how we know. We might think certain things, but I don't really know. After Wembanyama at 1 and maybe now Scoot at 2, I don't know how we know anything, or we think we know.
Right. And the difference too is in the NFL, I think you can draft a 4 need a little bit more. There's like a couple of set positions that are the premier ones. If you don't have a quarterback, you obviously have to get a quarterback. But after that, as far as like O-line and pass rush, right, on the edge, like you kind of know where you're going. You're not picking the DB second if you have anybody else. So with this one, it's like no, need is everything, because there's 5 guys on the court. And if one of them is Scoot Henderson and he's generational, and the other one is Brandon Miller and he ends up being a good fringe all-star, like one player like that makes a difference between the ability to win a championship or not, or even like, be a contender. So like one player in the NFL isn't really making you a contender unless it is a quarterback. So that's why it's a little bit harder to predict this stuff. But I do think the reason I'm like no to Brandon Miller going past 3 is like it's been established by pretty much every scouting team that you look at who they're valuing, you look at what they would need, and you just go Brandon Miller is that much better than Amin Thompson or Oster Thompson or Cam Whitmore or Jarris Walker, anybody. Yeah. So like if that's
what do we really know about Thompson? What do we? That's my whole thing. Is like, what do we actually know? We see the mock drafts, but again, these mock drafts yesterday, everyone had Scoot going 3 and Miller going 2. We were all. If we were doing this show yesterday, we would have been patting Brad on the back for saying, "Hey, Miller's going 2. You were right. He's minus 800. It's a lock." I don't know. We don't know as much as we think we know. That's
shifting between 2 guys that are, like I said, in tier 2, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And I don't want to discredit what you're saying either, because like if Brandon Miller to go 4th was 22-1 right now, like it's I don't think that
I wish I bet it. I'll put it that way. I wish I bet it. I was so close to sending you a text, be like, "Hey, can you get me down on Miller 22-1?"
And I would have, but like the thing is, I don't think it's become more likely that he goes 4th because Scoot is for sure going 2nd. Because I still think that
if Miller was going to go to 2nd, he couldn't go 4th. So now it's at least all he's got to do is slip 1 spot.
Right, because you're saying we don't have definitive like love coming out of Portland for Brandon Miller.
Right.
So like, yeah, you're saying everyone, we know who loves Scoot. We don't know who.
Plus,
loves
you're bringing the
Brandon
trade mix into it, where we don't even know who's making the pick. We think Portland's making the pick, but we don't really know.
Yeah, it would be tough for me to see a team being like, let me just disassemble some stuff and give you guys a bunch of give the third pick up, or try to get the third pick for Amin Thompson, for instance. Like, I just don't think he's even less sexy than Brandon Miller at that point. So but like you said, I could be making the mistake of just going like, I know what I see. I know what I watched in college basketball and a bunch of the G League. Didn't watch as much of that overtime league with the Thompson twins, but I know what I watched, and I know what I think teams would do based on where they're at and who the best players are. And there's 9 really good players, man. And like, after the first 3, like I maybe Amin Thompson's seen as above the rest, but it's a really good position to be in. If you have a top 10 pick, you don't really have to make a hard decision. It's kind of there for you in terms of the top 9 to 10 guys.
All right, let's play this game. All right, let's put ourselves all in Portland shoes. If we were going to get Scoot, all right, that's a guy. Let's just say he's got the more upside. We got to build around that guy. We got to draft Scoot. We'll try to make Dame happy after. We'll figure that out after. Now that it's not going to be Scoot, Miller, all right, I'm lukewarm on Miller. I don't know. I'm going to trade the pick. Who am I going to trade it to? Like, what are the trade partners in terms of, let's get Dame a running mate here. Let's get him a legitimate, like, all-star player, whether it's Pascal Siakam, whether it's Bridges. I don't know if that makes sense. What are the trade options here? If you're fielding calls, what makes sense for the 3rd overall pick?
Nothing. I've done this. I've done this with like a number of teams, and my main issue is
Zion. How about Zion? No.
Yes, 100%. But I think he's been taken off the table by the Pelicans. Is kind of what I heard.
Yeah, well, which is what comes us back into what we talked about yesterday with Dame. It's just like, you keep seeing all these reports where someone's getting traded, then 2 minutes later they're off the table, then they're back on the table. So I feel like Zion's not off the table, but at the same time, what package is going to convince the Pelicans to ever to move on from him at this point? Like, because you're probably selling him like super low, and then Pelicans have so much invested in him already.
That's why, like, it's okay to say like there is nothing, because I can tell you why I think there's nothing, right? Like, you look at what makes the most sense, and like you said, if Toronto wanted to do that, which is not something that they've ever done, by the way, which is like make a host of trades
right,
to get stuff, right? Like, they got Kawhi, and that was the
I'm just throwing shit against the wall for like,
yeah, no doubt.
I do think a trade's in play here at 3.
And Zion would be the only one, and then the Nets would be the only one. But Mikal Bridges isn't going anywhere. As much as Dame has said, I want Mikal Bridges. Tyler Hero apparently isn't going anywhere, according to Miami. So one of those teams would have to be the one to have changed their mind, right? To go like, nah, I actually do want to jump in and get some Brandon Miller in there, and I'm down to give you this person, and you give me Shaedon Sharp and a pick, or Anthony Simons and the pick, and like, I think I can do something with that. Who needs that backcourt like that? Like, I just don't think that there's anybody there, which is why it's like the most likely scenario is Dame's playing alongside Brandon Miller day 1 for Portland.
All right, so let's just go through the odds here. This is Pick It Sports, Sleeper Picks, GoldBoys, and we'll get to our baseball sleeper pick here in a minute. We got some day games. Arizona leads 1-0. Philly and Atlanta is still scoreless, I believe, after 1, so no run first inning in that game. Scoot, I'm just going to go by Bet Rivers, and if you guys have an eye on DraftKings, let me know if anything differs at all. But right now at Bet Rivers, Scoot minus 560 to go number 2, Miller plus 220 to go 2. That's a nice little gap they have there. I mean, it's not quite the fair payout. Anything for you guys there? No, probably not. Is Miller plus 220 enough?
Plus 220 to a second?
Yeah.
I think 220. That's so short. I feel like that's so short.
I want to hear what Michael Jordan has to say since in the 30 minutes since Shams has tweeted it, because that's who we were basing our Brandon Miller pick on, right?
When did he ever say anything?
Michael Jordan's the one still making the pick, apparently.
But when did he say, "Hey, we're taking Miller"? See, I think we get in trouble when we start to hear these things second and third hand, and we take it as fact, and you just sort of run with it, and the odds run. I think it's very dangerous. This is coming from someone who's gotten burned, had bad drafts betting wise, where it's like, you start chasing the information and you can get in trouble. So we agree, nothing there. I would only say this: if you have Scoot at nice numbers, maybe you take Miller at plus 220 and you can just, hey, relax. You don't have to sweat anything out. But I'm not betting Miller at plus 220. I'm not betting Scoot minus 5.
So speaking of betting odds, someone in the chat trying to check in on the chat a little bit. They said if you put $1 million on Wemby to go 1, you can net $5K. It seems like a good investment strategy.
If you had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I would do it. You're betting on him not dying between now and 8 o'clock.
That action for you.
Yeah, that's a real question. Who's taking the action?
Yo, real quick, Brandon Miller, I forgot about this, but Brandon Miller called Michael Jordan a regular guy and said that Paul George was his GOAT. And I wonder how much that has to do with Brandon Miller.
I don't think he said that's his GOAT. He said he grew up watching Paul George.
He called him his GOAT personally.
Which
Not
I
his
will
GOAT.
I will
Yeah.
disagree with too, because I saw some people saying that your GOAT doesn't have to be the GOAT of like the game. Is like my GOAT is this, my GOAT is that.
Right.
At that point, that's your favorite player.
That's your favorite
There's a
player.
different meaning to that. Like
I was just being silly, but
And why they're letting Jordan make the pick as he's handing the keys over in a couple days, I have no idea.
Because he's
But
not. They said he's still going to be part of the decision making process.
Because that's gone so well the past 5 years. My
goodness. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe whoever's buying just wants to hang out with Michael Jordan. Like that's probably what it is, right? Like, so, but if he's in there and he's making the pick, like I don't know, man. Like they've had him in there. He said he likes Brandon Miller. That's what he said, at least to like he said to Woj. Like Michael Jordan likes this guy, and I think he said in the presser. I'm still looking for it, but trying to like talk about this with you guys. So like,
all right, I guess people in the chat are asking about baseball picks. You guys have baseball picks? I did play Philly in this game. I didn't give it out. It got rained out last night. Noah pitching again. I played Arizona. You guys have your sleeper picks. I'll just give anything I like here. I bet LSU in the college game. Haven't given that out. I don't think it's a great slate. It's a smaller slate. I might bet San Diego here with Snell. Snell's look, he's talented. He's so up and down, but he's been great. His last 5 starts, only 2 earned runs, back-to-back starts at 12K. So I'm probably going to play San Diego. I like Philly. Is there a score yet in Philly, Atlanta?
I have it on. There's not. Top of the second, man on first. Pretty painless for first inning for both pitchers.
Yeah, I saw Philly got a guy on, but they double play.
me
What do you guys have for sleeper picks? Baseball, you guys
go ahead. I'll buy up your
we'll go back to the draft.
Why don't you go ahead, Brian?
I was gonna say the only thing because like I have a play in this game where I have runs needing to be scored in the Arizona game, but I like that you mentioned Snell and his recent success because I haven't put it in yet because I want to see final lineups and I've been kind of running around. But I don't know if you saw this, Will. The weather in that game too is horrible. Like the wind is coming in so hard. Like
which game is this?
For the San Diego game? You said you liked San Diego.
Oh.
They have like if you follow Ballpark Pal on Twitter. They have it set for like a negative 11% run differential because of the winds coming in and just how cold it is there. That I was looking at because it's in San Fran. It's in San Fran, But I was looking at the under 8.5 because I hate these two offenses. And as good as Snell's been, like I mean Wood has not been as good, but man, these offenses are so bipolar that I swear at any point if it's 0-0 going into the ninth, I wouldn't be like surprised. Not saying it would be, but
so what is your play? Just to be clear,
I was looking at the under 8.5 for the game.
Under 8.5.
Yeah,
I'm fine. Yeah, we're all saying some of the similar stuff here because I'm going Snell over 6.5 Ks. In fact, I'll just make the sleeper pick because it's part of the 2-player sleeper pick that I'm making here. But 6.5 Ks is minus 145 on DraftKings. Still think it's worth it. Yeah, it's the Giants at Oracle, by the way, also. So, like, the wind is going to be swirling like crazy. And the Giants have the 5th worst K rate against left-handed pitching in the league. And they do strike out a ton against lefties and are going to continue to throw lefties out into their lineup as well. And like you said, Snell has done what he's had 12 twice in a row now.
12 back-to-back.
It was the Rockies and the Rays. The Rays one was impressive. And yeah, he's getting swings. Like he's got like a 14% swing strike rate and like a 30% K rate right now. And just been really good over the last like 4, especially. I think he's like just really hot right now in general. Actually, up to 42.5% K rate.
He is a good-looking guy. I agree.
Like, yeah, he's just getting bats to miss everything he's doing right now, and it looks really good. What just happened to Philly score?
I don't think so. Nola just got squeezed on a 1-2 pitch. It looked like a strike. I think it's.
I'm trying to watch 2 games at once.
On the stinker pitcher. The other one that's with the sleeper pick, I'm not sure if it's up. Tom's probably doing his job well, I'm sure. But either way, Mitch Keller, I'm also going to the Pirates over 5.5 Ks. I think this one's way too low. Also, honestly, he's done that. I think 6 in a row basically is what I have here. That he's got at least 6 Ks there. Actually, in 12 of 15 as well, and then 6 in a row. So like 15 starts, 12 times he's gotten 6 Ks. 5.5 for him right now, and I think it's a pretty good number. It's not my favorite situation for him in terms of the split because of the fact that when he's gone up against I regress, my bad. Since he's gone up against the Marlins are the ones they keep surprising the hell out of me, and they are actually hitting righties pretty well at this point. So, he's going to face a ton of left-handed hitters, and that's where he struggles a little bit more. But I think 5, I don't need him to like win or not give up runs. I do think he's just going to get over 5.5K. So I'm combining that with the Blake Snell pick there.
Another one pick I like. I don't know if it's still there on FanDuel. Let me check. First 5 innings, total 4.5 with Keller and Garrett, who has good stuff. I mean, to me, 4.5 is a little high. You got to lay minus 140, but it's 3.5 at Bet Rivers. I mean, that's a huge middle with a low scoring where you can get under 4.5, play over 3.5 if you want. You're laying juice, but very possible it lands 3-1, 2-2, and you get 4 runs in that one. But I like the under 4.5 side better. I just think that's 2 pretty good pitchers, and the Pirates have not played well recently. Anything else on baseball? Should we get back to the draft?
We can get back to the draft. I think it's worth mentioning that we have the biggest favorite of the season today. And my friend
saw that. Yeah,
my friend texted me if we're gonna bet on that game, and I said I am not in the business of betting historical favorites or historical underdogs in MLB. It's just not something I want to get in the business of doing. But yeah, they open at minus 120, which is the Rays. That is, they open
minus 120.
I mean, minus 420.
Yeah,
sorry, I was just looking at a minus 120 line for the under 8.5. My fault. They open up minus 420. They've gotten bet back a little bit, but what a crazy opening line to open at minus 400.
I do see a bet I like in that game.
Which would be what?
Rays minus $1.59 to score the first run. Get a 1-2-3 from McClanahan, then you're a favorite. I mean,
yeah, that's I mean, that's not bad juice. I mean, this Royals lineup is not good. I mean, it's
no.
And then the opener for the Royals also really struggles too. So if you just gotta survive that first half from Shane, and he's been
right,
I mean, lights out, especially at home. He's been lights out at home all season.
Of course, I mean, the Rays are the home team, so I mean, you could lose this first pitch of the game, solo homer in the first inning. But hey, 159 instead of I'm with you. I'm not laying minus 365. I know, sure, people will put it in parlays or whatever. Which look, they should win the game. So I mean, I don't have an appetite for that kind of price. I think there's other ways to attack it. But
I want to point out before we go back to the draft,
yeah,
because we don't talk about baseball as much, we're gonna start doing it more. I want to just say one thing: baseball is the one sport where you can have the smartest angle or the smartest pick in the world and lose by like $1 billion. It's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It's so funny that you could talk for like an hour about how this person this and that, and for all we know, Shane McClanahan comes out. He was out drinking last night, comes in, allows 4 runs in the first inning, and the Rays lose. It's one of those sports where you got to pick your spots, especially because the juice can be worth the squeeze a lot of times.
Sure. Or Tampa hits line drives all over the place right at people, and they lose 1-0 or something. I mean, there's just there's a lot of randomness in baseball.
I just want to put that up because I feel like baseball is the one sport. If you cap it, if you bet it, you can't take it too seriously because, I mean, it's just one of those daily sports where things happen and you just gotta be like, damn, you can't. Yeah. I see Twitter all the time. It's like 0 for 5. Oh, god damn, I need him to get 1 hit. And it's like, dude, you know what? Like, it's frustrating, but you just can't let it get to you.
Yep, totally agree. All right, so back to the draft, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is there anything you guys would bet right now? Let me just.
Yeah.
I would say the board is sort of clarified here, at least if you're going to trust the odds. Obviously, Scoot's a huge favorite now to go 2 at minus 560. Miller minus 400 to go 3rd. I'm looking at Bet Rivers.
Yep.
Amen Thompson minus 400 to go 4. Yep. Let's go there. Anything 3 or 4 you'd bet? Do you want to buck anything? Do you want to call an upset, or you think this is just going to be chalk?
I hit Amen Thompson minus 190 to go 4th when
it's minus 400 now, though.
I know, so no.
Okay.
I thought it was great value at minus 190 is my point. It's like I do think that's a lock is my main point. But like I don't know. I don't need to put $350 on that for 100 in the event that something weird like that happens. And then with the 3rd pick, like I said, like Brandon Miller is just the only guy that I see there.
So no upsets in the top 5. Oscar Thompson, the other Thompson twin, is minus now 200 to go 5. So again, we got some clarity. So you guys think you think that's the order right now?
I'm not convinced about Oscar Thompson, but maybe I'm wrong.
Where would you go then? Walker plus 300.
I feel like Walker makes them. Sorry, I thought you were just going 1. My bad.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think Walker's the one guy that might be an upset at 5 in terms of. I mean, the Pistons need a wing. Like we talk about all these like positional needs. They've gotten decent guard play. They have they got some wings, but they don't really have like a long-term solution as those that wing spot. So he's the only guy that I think would make sense, especially at those odds.
What is Oscar Thompson? I don't know anything about him. Again, it's tough when these guys with Wembanyama, Scoot, the Thompson twins. Like I've never seen these guys play, so I don't know what they are. I know the Thompson move at 5 is because the Pistons beat writer has been very good about predicting who the Pistons are going to take, and he's been adamant that Oster's at the top of their board. That's
writer
yeah,
for which guy, which writer? Like
I forget his name.
Yeah, I mean, he plays that small forward position, but
okay,
I just know that
he's a
I
bit
could
more of a playmaker too.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but doesn't Walker? I mean, Walker's like 250, like 6'6". Like he's just that more traditional style.
Yeah,
Like
no,
that,
you clearly read my article yesterday, which I appreciate, Brian.
I didn't even know you wrote an
I
article.
wrote about that yesterday. I wrote about that yesterday, but about him, going fifth because look, it's once again, Will, like do with it what you will, but like I was using the numbers from where Detroit clearly needs somebody versus and who's available and how good how comparable I think they are. Cam Whitmore is the one that lost a ton of steam. I was really glad that it took him over 5.5 to get picked because I never saw him going to Detroit. The thing is like of all the people Detroit worked out, like they did work out the Thompson twins. Oster does seem duplicative though of like what they already have in Camp and Cade and Jaden Ivey. So like it doesn't seem to make much sense that you would get another big sized like playmaking guard who needs to improve his shooting a ton, who can play a little bit of wing, but like he's not defending anything. And they gave up. Detroit was like bottom 10 in allowing the opposing wings, small forward and power forwards combined, to get points, rebounds, assists. Like it was awful. And we know their offense is going to get better when Cade Cunningham comes back. We don't know if their defense is going to get any better. And he's the best defensive player who. Cam Whitmore is the other wing that they worked out that would make sense, but like he's a guy that can get his own shot, and they don't need a guy to get his own shot. They need a guy to play off Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey.
So you like Walker plus 300?
Yeah, like okay. I took him at 340. Now that it's at plus 300 again, like I might hit it again. Yeah, but like look, this is also like my analysis. If like beat writers are like, no, everybody's telling me Oster Thompson is who they like, and he's the best player, so they don't care if he's fit or not. All right, fine, but it's like you have one clear gap in your lineup. You have a ton of centers and a ton of guards. Where's your wing player? But
let me see here. 6th overall is where this is where it's sort of anybody's guess. Black is minus 134, but then you have Oster plus 350, Whitmore plus 650. I'm trying to think who has the 6th pick. Do we know?
The Magic.
Magic have 6 and 11.
Oster Thompson to go 8th for plus 800. That was a little while ago, and then I hedged it with him to go 6th because I think he makes sense in Orlando as another ball handler who does have good enough skills to like eventually be the guy on the floor with Markelle Fultz that can run the offense. So, but then again,
Oster 8.
I took him at 8 for good money and for good odds, and then hedged it a little bit because I thought he could go 6th as well to Orlando.
25-1 to go 8th now.
Yeah, that's way better than what I got. I got 8-1.
Yeah.
Because he's risen so much in the ranks. And like I said, I still don't think he makes sense 5th. So I took him 6th. And then that puts Cam Whitmore at 7th, according to all my math. So like if you want to keep going with the way I see things going, then Cam Whitmore to go 7th would be a pretty good pick if you can find that. I think he's only on FanDuel right now.
I want to find some people because I think I want to maybe sprinkle some of these angles with Josh because I can't obviously bet the draft here. So
annoying. It's so annoying.
It's just so weird that like it gets that specific by state. For it's like you can bet everything.
It's so annoying.
But
I can't bet player movement. I can't bet any of this stuff here. Look, I got a million different books. I would just say though, if you can't bet the draft, it's annoying, but it's also maybe a blessing in disguise because man, your head starts spinning. Oh, this is -5. I got to bet it, and then this news comes out. I got to bet it. It's like you end up twisting yourself into a pretzel where it's like you just hope you don't lose all your bets. And look, I think if you have nothing, and again, just to get back to the main point, I think if you have no bets and you're looking to bet, just take something with a plus sign. I think there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't think anyone really knows anything. I obviously Wemby's going 1. My guess would be Scoot would be 2. And I said yesterday when it was Miller was minus 800, when I said it on the air, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Scoot. I don't know that I trust Woj 100%. So I'll say the same thing for Scoot now. I think it's going to be Scoot, but I don't think we know much. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty. I think if you're going to take something, take a stab at something with a plus price and just have some fun. Here's the thing. We love betting. We love giving out winners. We help people make money. You don't have to bet on everything. You don't have to bet on every game, every draft thing. You could just sit back and enjoy it. So you don't have to bet on everything here.
Yeah. No, well said. And I would just add that like the way that I've handled it is what I said. Like I'm not taking a minus 180 on a guy in 1 through 3 because I don't believe in it. I did say I took a minus 190 on Thompson at 4, but that's where I started to have more fun and feel confidence was like, okay, 4th, we've got another guy who's sort of in his own tier. If he is above the like tier of the rest of the tier 3 guys, cool. I'm putting him at 4th. and then kind of going from there with like doing a little bit of work, looking at the NBA teams and going from there and taking some higher numbers, some 8-to-1s, some 7-to-1s, and just seeing, it's like a sprinkle, dude. I'm talking about like $15, $20 max on any of this stuff. I'm not really trying to make like a couple of G's off of the NBA draft. At this point, I just think it's a fun thing to just kind of like
attitude.
for. So no, not with that attitude, but like I said, I sprinkled probably like 2.5 units yesterday to make like a possible 12 or 13 or whatever, and like I'll have fun with that, go from there.
And just as a cautionary tale, a reminder, this time last year, Jabari Smith was like -800 to be the first pick in the draft. So
yeah,
hey man, these drafts have gotten weird in the last couple of years. I don't know if it's because betting is legal
5,000?
and information's harder to get. What was that?
So you're saying Scoot plus 5,000 to go first?
Yeah, and I want to interject real quick for anyone that's like into baseball, because I want to put this out there, asking some different plays. If you are on the Diamondbacks in any fashion, like me and Will might be, Jake Irvin just struck out the side. He's already got 4 strikeouts, and I know a lot of people are on his under 3.5. So it's -6.5. It's -120 for under 6.5 strikeouts live. I did take that because I don't see him striking out 4 batters in a row again in this game. I just want to put that out there because the Arizona Diamondbacks, second time to the order, should see him a lot better. Yeah. So I don't see them striking out 3 straight back to back to back.
Nothing for me. We got no score. Cleveland and Oakland. Oakland has gone back to their losing ways. I think they lost 11 in a row, won 7 in a row. Now they've lost 7 or 8 in a row again. So very strange. They I guess that evens out to just where they should be, but very strange.
I actually like them to do okay. I think Logan Allen's doing pretty well right now, which is fine because I love Logan Allen. He's on my team. But I do think it's like I thought Esther Ruiz would get a hit in the first inning, or at least in this game at this point, because he's been sizzling and does see righties pretty well. So I still think he can get one. I'm not sure if you can get a live price on that, but it's probably pretty good at this point since he went 0 for 1.
Yeah, and it's scoreless here at Atlanta and Philly. We need some runs here from the Phillies. I think Elder's a good regression candidate. So let's see here. Hopefully we can get Philly home. Just a couple minutes left here. You guys get the sense? I get the sense you guys don't think this. Do you think we see a bombshell tonight? Either a surprise in the top 5 or a major trade involving Dame, Zion, or is this just a quiet night?
I want to go quiet night. It sounds boring to say, but I
yes,
feel
it does. You're right. It does.
I know, but I just feel like there's just so much smoke and mirrors going around. I don't know if how much I buy into it.
Which is why I would say if something happens, it's going to be a bombshell. It's going to be something that makes go, holy shit. Because I don't have the only thing that makes sense for Portland, like I said, is someone that's like Zion's caliber. You're not winning the championship with Pascal Siakam going back to the Blazers. So if some shit happens like that, or something that we don't even see right now, like the Jazz just decide to say screw it, or the Magic decide to say screw it, and they're like, we're not waiting anymore. We've got Paolo and Fultz. We'll just give you everything else to get like whoever we want. That shit could happen for sure. And if it does, it is going to make us go, wow. So let me predict over 0.5 things that make us go, holy shit, tonight at the NBA draft. Yeah.
Oh, so you think we will get either? So let's quantify it. It's either Dame getting traded, Zion getting traded, or an upset in the top 3, like Miller doesn't go 3 or Scoot doesn't go 2. You think we'll get a curveball?
Or a curveball from a team that we have not even discussed making a trade.
Yeah.
To go up from like 14 to 3 or some crap like that. That like we're just like, whoa, but it's still for a guy like Brandon Miller at 3 or Scoot at 2. Yeah. If they're not gonna, I mean, maybe there's like we'll move up to 5 and we'll trade, we'll get, Charlotte comes in and is like, we actually want more picks. So we want to get back in the top 10 and we'll give you Gordon Hayward and this for, the 11th pick or whatever. Like there could be some stuff like that. So
can you imagine all the talks being going on, like the stuff that never gets reported, the stuff that never gets done, like just the proposals right now? I mean, Dame for this guy. I mean, I would just love to be a fly on the wall just to hear some of these conversations.
Dude, my bad. We didn't even talk about Kristaps going.
I was gonna finish that. Does that move the needle for you guys either way?
It does. I think it's a really, really solid pickup. They also got 2 first-round picks. Boston could be looking to move up higher than the first two first rounders that they got.
Yeah, it's hard to move up too much in the NBA like you do in the NFL, but I know what you mean. I was surprised they were able to get Porzingis and 2 first rounders.
And 2 firsts. So I think that's it's a huge move. You play against someone like Joel Embiid and you've got Kristaps on the floor and he's got to come out there, but plus you have a legit defender, shot blocker. I think it's a really solid move. And goodbye Marcus Smart. He's on the Grizz, which I guess is a good move for him, but they already have his archetype in like 4 different players. So
I think they needed somebody. They wanted a little bit of an older brother figure to mentor Ja. And I think Missoula had a hard time coaching Smart because Smart and him would clash, which I can understand. I mean, they're not that far apart in age. Smart probably thinks like, hey, I could probably coach the team better than you. He's a heady player. So
They
I don't
probably
know.
played against each other.
Yeah.
OK State and West Va.
I'm sure they did.
They
Oh, I
might
think
have, yeah.
West Virginia was probably in the Big East back then.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, you're right. I mean, they're
yeah,
contemporaries pretty much.
yeah.
That's always tricky. And I just think you had to change things up in Boston. I think running
Agreed.
that same thing back. I mean, the way they lost to Miami, they blew the Golden State series last year. They're up 2-1. I just think it's been too long. You got to somehow break up this core. You can't just keep running it back.
Yeah.
You need a little. Now you got to worry about Porzingis staying healthy, but I can understand it. I don't know that it makes like I saw somewhere they're plus 475. They have shorter odds than Denver.
Oh.
I don't see that at
No,
all.
no,
I think
no.
that's a total overreaction.
That's crazy.
I will
You'll
say
get him.
I kind of mentioned it yesterday a little bit on the show. Not this show because we didn't do it, but the other show we did. As I said, it's at the point where the Wizards are selling. So if you can pick up guys like this for as cheap as they're putting out on like the yard sale,
Yeah.
you might as well take a stab at it because
Totally.
I mean they're just kind of just giving up like and starting anew. So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is you mentioned running it back only works so well. I think you get like that 1 year window where like they were in the finals, they didn't get all the way there. It's like okay, we're gonna run it back. They fell short, even shorter. I think eventually it's like, all right, we got to do something. If there was a chance on the table and they took it, so I think it's good. I support it.
But the reason I even thought of it real quick is because you were saying like, well, think about all the shit we don't know that these GMs and front office guys are talking to each other about and things that fall through. But think about when we do find out, and Malcolm Brogdon is sitting there going, "You wanted to put me on the Clippers," which like would have been cool for him, I think, in some ways. But I don't know how he feels about things now because he's very aware that he was basically trade bait.
You guys buy the idea that that Paul George could be traded? That's a team that needs to shake it up.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think they could be shaking up majorly. Yeah, like they don't play for them. Like, you guys,
they never play basketball. They never play basketball.
So yeah, the NBA like
I just don't know what does that trade look like though. I mean, that's not you can't trade it like Portland for 3. You can't give up the 3rd pick for Paul George. He's a good player, but man, he's older. He's always hurt. I can't give up the 3rd pick for Paul George. You guys disagree or no?
No, agreed.
Yeah,
I wouldn't for playoff P.
With the Knicks, a couple of those picks they have, they got a bunch of.
I know
picks.
Josh would love that.
I would.
Would you love that?
I don't know. I was just saying to see what his face would be. So it didn't really get much information off that.
I think it depends on the price tag.
That was a painful look on my face, is what it was. It was just like, God, I don't know. Like I'm past the point of being like, we're so desperate. Like we're decent, but I don't think Jay Randall's it. Like I'm ready to move Jay Randall and get the best possible return for a player that's like a similar.
What are you going to get for him? I mean, what are you going to get for him though?
Yo, I mean, if it was a legit guard alongside like Luke Kennard like he's on the Grizz now, but I was thinking of a couple. There's the Clippers have guys to get rid of, and there's guys that could help the Knicks over there alongside Paul George coming over. It's just one of those things where it's just I don't know how healthy he's gonna, how good is he even gonna be when he comes back. So probably not, man. Like not for like RJ. Like we can get better for that. So yeah,
I mean, if it's a couple throwaway picks, I get it, but I'm not investing serious stuff. Like
that's incredible with what they did, man. That was incredible. They got rid of Danilo and Marcus Smart. Like they're good. They got Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon in the house still, but like no, you can't just like gut your team like that. And that's why right now it's just that there's going to be trades this NBA summer, man. Because I think what does most likely to happen, as much as I want some fun shit to go off tonight, like most likely it's pretty boring in terms of trades tonight at the NBA draft. Guys get their people, just get the best player you can. And this summer is going to be pretty interesting with trades and people moving and some signings and weird stuff that happens with the collective bargaining agreement. So like this NBA summer is going to be dramatic and fun. Tonight might not be quite as much. Wait to make your futures, man. You don't have to like throw futures on the NBA right now. It's an 82 game season where you can get good prices throughout it. It's just you don't know who's going to end up on which team yet.
It's also kind of mentioned to kind of title on a nice bow. Because I've only been working with Josh here for a short time, but no, me and Will have been doing the show for a while. And same thing, Will kind of brought up multiple times on futures too, is do you really want to tie up money for this amount of time when you can also even target it throughout the season? Because I know we were talking about it where, the Spurs started off hot. And I remember we talked about where I bet them live for their under season total because they started off good. Like, so there's just so many points throughout the season that if you like something, you don't have to tie up the money right there. Right. Or like, say if you faded the A's to start the season, they win 8 straight, and you're like, they're the A's. I don't buy that. Like, what's their live line now? Like, you can always kind of sell high, buy low, sell high on certain futures, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and we're gonna start doing that a bit more with MLB, I think, which is like, I think it's a really good idea to like keep tabs on what those live odds are throughout the MLB season. It's 162 games. Things shift in a way like if you took the Reds to win the division at 40-1 while we were looking at that. what they win like 9 in a row now, 10 in a row, something crazy. So like that number's gone. Same concept with the Cardinals, who are better now. Like even if they still have a shot at certain things. There was a pretty good number for them a little while ago when they were like 14 back. So like you can continue to monitor that. I think we'll start doing that a bit more throughout this summer. Is like look at the MLB standings together and just go like, all right, well, what number do you like? Is this moves this much from last week? Like let's keep tabs on it and know when it makes sense.
At Bet Online, Scoot's now down to -200 to go too. So Miller's taking some money. I mean, they don't have big limits, especially for draft stuff, but
Fucking day trading, dude.
it's interesting.
I
Interesting.
wonder if there's someone that has like some kind of algorithm out there that is able to treat this like a day trade and just find a way to like hedge in a way that like comes out on top, because that's great. Like it's the only market you'll see a tweet move a line from
Yeah.
like -800 to plus one or whatever you wanted to call it.
Here's
Don't
what's
bet on it.
interesting though. That
Don't
line
bet
was
on it.
moving like Miller was -800, say coming into today, and these are just rough numbers. That was trickling down to -300, -200, whatever before the Shams tweet.
Yeah.
So I know Sam Vecini, who's one of the more respectable mockers, put out Scoot at 2. Maybe that was part of it. So sometimes, look, there's people that know things. People talk, and sometimes it's under the table. Like who knows how people get this information? But usually with these moves, I don't know. It's definitely interesting, if nothing less, nothing else.
And all those guys will tell you though, man, like the same stuff that we're saying. Like this guy said that, but like I'm not gonna base everything on that. I'm gonna also base things
Yeah.
on the what I think makes the most sense as an
Yeah.
analyst, and that's what Sam does really well. Is go like
Yeah.
this. What's make the most sense? If they don't do it, I disagree with them, and I think they're
Right.
dumb.
Yeah. Did you guys see that Cam Whitmore was listed on Bet365 like yesterday to go over 5.5 rounds, and they had him listed like plus 200?
Yeah,
Like
that's
they
what I
had
was
the
saying.
lines. They had the lines inverted though. Like they took it down quickly, but they had
It
him
used to
like
be that they were late to move
yeah,
it. Is what it was, because
yeah.
that's what it
It
used to be.
was yeah, and it was like a day late though. It was crazy. It's so weird
Yeah,
how
yeah,
you
fine.
can just kind of shop around.
Yeah, these books get caught asleep at the wheel. And there was an interesting one on Osser. Is that how you
Yeah,
pronounce it? Am I pronouncing it right?
AUSAR. Yeah.
Under 5.5 was like plus 200. And to be the 5th pick exactly was like only plus 150. So it's like, wait, the other one's the better bet to begin with. And you're getting like these books, look, they're not perfect. There's a lot of
Totally.
moving parts. They're sometimes behind
Totally.
slow behind the wheel in terms of changing the odds. And they're, you
That's
catch them with their pants down.
that same thing happened to Jarris Walker, where it was like for him to go 5th is plus 185.
Yeah.
Under 6.5 was like plus 200. I was
Makes
like,
no sense.
what?
Which always just not only shop around book to book, but shop around market to market. Sometimes you can
Market, yeah.
basically find the better bet in terms of like the same bet at better odds, or just find
Yep.
different ways to bet it.
That's what we did all NBA finals with the head-to-head stuff too. Like
Yeah.
players head-to-head bets, same thing here. Players to go higher or lower head-to-head. You can find those on DraftKings. Those are very
Right.
fun for the draft. So
All right. I think we
Good stuff,
covered
man.
all. Guys, enjoy the draft. Good luck with all your plays. Thank you to Pickett Sports. Thank you to Sleeper Picks. I think we're back tomorrow with a Friday show. So hopefully tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you then. Good luck with all your plays, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.